Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith of the In the Black Quant Edge VTF here at T3 Live with this weekend's market vid for you. So basically we exhaust the quarter, the month, all that stuff. So all these new signals, nothing is in force until things start to set in motion. We've got obviously the election, jobless claims, still waiting on forever for an interest rate hike. So if you've been getting chopped up, I'm going to show you why. If you go to the S&P Spider, you're going to see this. Here, once again, the Brexit triangle. Here, we get up in here, the tighter triangle where you're going to get killed. Tighter triangle. Then we got this rip down here to hopefully get some more volatility. But if we take a better look at this, you'll recall this here, and we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days completely within this bar's range. All right, and so whenever you're trading inside on a longer term time frame, you can expect to get chewed up because it's consolidating. So it's like, oh, they're going to kill him. Oh, they're going to run him. Oh, they're going to kill him. Oh, they're going to kill him. No, definitely going to kill him. No, now they're going to run him. And then we took out this stuff up into here. So the question is, we had this price discovery up into here and then drop back in. And within all this, now here, for this to start off the week, S&P is an inside week, all right? And so as much as you felt like it was going around, it's really just consolidating here, and you're using the old triangle here, support right now, really just consolidating. And so when we go back into that daily and you see some outside bars in here, that's why you're getting killed. If you go into here this 30-minute, you're going to see these triangles that just go back and forth because within a range, oftentimes things can be pretty violent trying to break out of it. So we opened the week, we went lower low, higher high, lower low, then boom, came rallying back, took that out. Triangle needs to grow, then continuation triangle here, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, then rip them back up into here, then kill them back, take this triangle needed to grow, so there it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then go all the way, take it out, still not take out the week. And so when people were at the end of the day on Friday being like, oh, they're killing them, why are they killing them? I'm like, they're not killing them, it's like price is contracting, and we know that because it's still an inside week. And so anytime it's still inside, you can expect these turns back and forth. So inside week to start off the quarter, either side of that is going to get our attention. But certainly on the daily, we want to know, can we reverse this cluster of 7 inside days? Right now, slowly trying to move higher, right? Albeit choppy and outside bars and all that. But we certainly, this would be a challenge if we go inside week and down and start challenging the other side of this 7-day inside consolidation to start off. If you go to QQQ, one of the things we've been seeing, for a while here is that there is strength and weakness every day within certain things, and certainly the Nasdaq been a lot stronger and hanging right around the highs. So a little bit of a different deal, but also an inside week here. So the question is this Q's going to keep rocking with tech land and get out of this inside week and just go to the highs, or are we going to see something like this here and go inside week and back into this and drop back in? So we'll start. One of the good things about this video is it's going to be good all month because all this stuff is still, nothing's confirmed as of now. And if we're lucky, you get what's called a simultaneous break on a Monday, and that's of a new quarter. And oftentimes it's the new allocations going in, and oftentimes the upside. But either way, because all these signals still have to trigger, we've got all new levels where the dailies can trigger the weeklies, trigger the monthlies. So oftentimes you can get a big move. But we've also got a holiday. On Jewish holiday on Monday, and then we got jobless claims coming on Friday, so we'll have to see how that goes, but we do have these inside weeks to gauge. If we go to Apple, and so here's the Apple weekly triangle, higher high, low low, higher high, lower low, higher high, and how do we get out of here? And what that does cause is an outside month, and so the outside bar is proof positive that these broadening formations are so prevalent because they have to be, because you can't not, when it's outside, nobody can say that it didn't take out both sides of the range, which it did. So Apple on the monthly, still a lower series. It did take this out, and remember that outside bar, you always want to look for that because a reclaim of that, oftentimes you get that test to the other side, which you did here, and now it's an outside month. We'll have to get outside of that, and if you take a look at the daily, here it goes inside day to start off. So here, there's real tight business in here, and that's why when things are tight, you want to let them back off and higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Let them expand here, and you can see another one here, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, with a bam, right? And so right now, starting off as an inside day, outside month, we'll see. Like I said, everything's going to confirm or negate. And so for the way I look at things, is that what I mean by that is that I can't identify 4 participation groups based on a monthly, weekly, daily 60 until an hour into the trading, a week from Tuesday, because all week the monthly and the weekly bar are going to be the same. And then the following week, the daily and the weekly and the 60 are the same in the first hour. The daily and the weekly are the same all day. And then on Tuesday, the daily and the 60 are the same the first hour. And then we can do it. And so it doesn't mean we don't trade. It just makes we have more evidence at that point. So we'll just have to see how the initial breaks go. If we go to the small cappers also inside week up in here, and you can see that higher high, lower low, higher high. What is this up in here? How do we get out of this week? And so when you look at it tighter, here's that higher high and there's that lower low, and we're starting right in the middle. How do we get out? Do we go to the highs? Do we start dropping back in? What we do have on the monthly here is the potential momentum hammer. And what that means is a hammer in a strong trend here. So it's still putting in the higher lows all up in here. So if we get that inside week to take that out, then maybe we can go up and challenge the highs. Right now, inside week to start off like a whole bunch of things. If we go to the TLT would actually set up the reversal strategy. The inside month countered with hammer, which gives us 3 levels of people stopped out on the way up if TLT wants to go. It also starts off as weekly shooter here if it wants to just test this range and drop back in. So either way, we'll have to see how that goes. If we go to SVXY and our buddies, SVXY, big doji month, outside month, fractal triangle, we got to get out of that. And so when I say fractal triangle, that means an outside bar. If you go on a shorter term time frame, you're going to see a higher high and a lower low for sure, because you have to. Then outside day, inside day. So we'd have to get out of this range and then stay out. Otherwise, you look for a reclaim to attempt either side of that. So a little tricky to start that off, but an inside day. If we go to the Dow Jones Diamonds, see that similar bar that came up in here that we haven't been able to take back. Here, not an inside week. It took it down slight to the downside, and you can see how tight that is up in there. If we go back to the daily, you'll see that similar thing where we got out of the Brexit triangle, came up, tested it, then dropped back in, scared everybody. So really, how do we get out of this range? And it's going to be case-by-case basis. And another thing that you can identify, not just something that's inside on a longer-term time frame, but also just looking at those longer-term time frames to see, do the candles have any color? Are they doing anything? And oftentimes people get caught in what I call the vortex of the intraday chart, where you're looking at something that's too short term. If you look at this, doji, we're doing nothing. SPY, doji, doing nothing. QQQ, green, that's better. So when things start to firm up, at least in the last month, you go towards that. And so as a month goes on, you want to try and trade things that are not still inside month. As a week goes on, you want to try and trade things that aren't inside week. And as the month goes on, you start looking for those actionable signals that are in force and those bright green and bright red bars, because that tells you something's on the move. All right, let's get to in the Dow. We got Merck going inside month, and the problem here is, once again, we want to watch for the concerted break out of that, because you can see this all these weeks still stuck within this bar, but it is inside month, so we'll keep that on the radar either side. McDonald's the same here. Inside month potential momentum shooter. And what a momentum shooter means is that any of the buyers who got stuck up in here and start stopping themselves down here got all sorts of trouble. And at that point, we want to look for full time frame continuity of the downside to confirm that, which would be trading lower than it opened on the month, the day, the week, and the 60 in combination with the Dow and the S&P, since McDonald's is in both. All right, we'll go to UTEX. And UTEX here, remember, monthly shooter and down last month. And so if we take a look at the weekly, you're going to see this down inside week. So the question here, do we go down, sideways measured move, and try and take this outside bar out down in here? Or is this corrective activity within a higher low? So inside week for UTEX. If we go to Boeing's still stuck in the middle of this range. And so on the monthly, It would be a reversal strat because it's an inside month countered with hammer. But you always want to make sure that when you go back, when an inside bar breaks, it wants to break that mother bar. Otherwise, you have a 2-bar inside pattern, which you do here, 2 months completely within this bar's range. So when it's breaking down in here, you needed that thing to reconfirm because you want to use this to hit the stops and the levels that people would be getting out of there and there, which it couldn't do. So potential rev strat, 2-bar inside pattern and Boeing. If we go to Cisco potential momentum hammer on the highs, and you can see like in tech land, even old school boring tech still was moving up here in the daily. Here, you can see how chopped up you're going to get in here, but we'll respect that if we can take it out, because you remember, like in tech land, never thought the Qs would ever see the highs again, but they did. And you go well way back in Cisco, and she used to be somebody up in here and been going sideways in here for years, so we'll respect it, see if that gets them going. If we go to Disney, a more respectable time frame. Disney here on the weekly. See this, another 2-bar inside pattern, would be rev strat back to the upside, just slowly drifting away from them here, but we'll see if that can, takes care of all that business, and you're starting off a new month. And another thing you're going to see on a lot of this stuff is this real tight triangle stuff in here, lower low, higher high, and you got to get out of that stuff. So we'll see if, what we look for is once that rev strat kicks in to the upside, we're going to reconfirmation on the shorter term stuff. All right, we got Coke. Coke starts off as potential rev strat weak here. Now it's been got out of here. You can see this stuff here. Walk it down like this. So the question is going to keep going, or we can get anything like this here, but just rev strat. So we're looking at like XLP. And XLP going inside weak, so we can watch that Coke and the Pepsi and all that kind of stuff initially. And we know that Procter & Gamble in the Dow, albeit not the easiest path up, as you can see. That's what you're going to see in a lot of these moves. It's like, yes, it's moving higher. Was it easy to stay in this thing? Oh, hell no. Bam, bam, bam. But it has been outperforming the XLP and a grinder in the Dow, if you will. If we go to Microsoft, Mr. Softy's still hanging around the highs here, the recent highs, I should say, and just starting off the week as an inside day. And you can see once again, when these triangles are tight, they're really tough. And that's why if you've been confused, day in and day out, being like, this is a real move, this is a real move, this is a real move, this is doing nothing. So right now, just starting off as an inside day. If you go to Nike, you can see that inside day goes down, triangles them out here on the shooter. Keeps them honest by jacking them here and then falling apart and starting as an inside day. And that's, well, like I said, one of the things you look for on the short side when it had full time frame counter to the downside here, because on the monthly it was staying blood red. So for right now, just starting off as an inside day. Nike, Pfizer. So the Pfizer looking like this on your monthly. The bigger, and then if you come into here, you can see the weekly potential rev strat. Inside weak countered with hammer, outside bar, tests it, takes it out, so we'll see how it can handle above that hammer. If we go to Verizon starting off as an inside week, and like the utilities I'm about to get to, problemo is here. If they start jumping ship on old yield, you get the momentum shooting star here on the monthly that we want to be aware of. But right now, we'll see how they handle. Like I said, we want to see what the new allocations. Do we start going back into yield? Does everything go down? Does everything go up? So all this stuff is just potential stuff here. If we go to UNH going inside week, and on the monthly, you're going to see this here. What is this upper level consolidation? You got out of this. You got your momentum hammer inside month, and now some corrective action like that. On the daily, you're going to see this. This higher high, that was lower than that. Got them out of here. What is this? We're going to continue this up, sideways measured move, triangle all these guys. Well, to start off, you got an inside weak here, like many things. So if we spread that out, you get a Humana. Usually. So another problem is when you get this volatility back and forth and you come back in the middle, you're in a no man's land. And if you look at this daily Humana, geez, yeah, good luck with that. However, it does go inside month. So oftentimes it's the news because you got that outside month, inside month. And in these things, like I said, oftentimes it's going to be the news. You got an inside month also for Cigna, drying up a bit, but Molina Health MOH here, a little bit stronger, as you can see, was green last month. And starting off inside week to see if we can challenge this stuff, because if you can see this higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, boom. It'd be nice, as you can see, walking up like this. Gets a little ahead of itself, goes inside, comes back within this trend. So the question is this momentum hammer going to be enough to take that out and pick up some steam? We shall see. If we go to the trannies, holding their own here. Remember last month, we're looking for that inside month and up. Went up a little bit. So the question is, do we get the follow through to try and get through all this stuff? Tranny's nowhere near the highs, and some airlines lagging. But if we get to that daily, again, you see right here, triangle the out. Oh, it looks great. Okay, first we got to stop all these guys out. Then we can go back up, and you can go off, even off of here. Oops. Let's get rid of that. Like so, because you want to make sure you stop everybody out before going back up. And now hanging around there, no new actionable signal there. But Tranny's acting fairly well, as the airlines could use some help. So American Airlines, and we talked about this tight triangle, outside bar, take it to the upside, inside day, back down, hammer off the triangle, and then right back into the middle of this stuff. And so what that's going to give you is monthly doge. Yeesh. Tried to take that hammer up, but it does put in the higher low, but we could use some additional signals and see how that gets out of that thing. If we go to Alaska Air a little worse, trying to go rev strat month down, inside month, countered with shooter to try and drop back in. But look at the daily. You can see how you get chopped up in here, but good. But starting off as an inside day to see if this holds higher than that, and it's going to start moving higher, but nothing outside of that. But certainly if things start to go awry for the short side. If we go to Delta, remember last month was inside month. Here, 1, 2, 3 months completely within this thing. How do we get out of this? Right now, nowhere near doing it would be the problem. So we've got to look for some shorter term setups in that thing too. If you go to UL, a little better. It was walking up here. We just don't have any new actionable signals in here. And if you go to that weekly, see this business in here, still trying to walk up in here, but no new actionable signals to go on. If we go to the rails, we got that CSX. That was the winner. We got that inside month and up break and stayed up on the CSX. You're still walking up on like Union Pac. Union Pac would be momentum hammer on the monthly. If you go to the weekly, you'll see this. Just stopping them out, moving up, stopping them out, moving up. So slowly but surely making her way to see if that momentum hammer can pick up some steam. If we go to Norfolk Southern, see a little bit similar there, and just went out on the highs of the month. Here, we just got no new actionable signal over there outside of somewhat momentum hammer here in the monthly. If we go to like CP Rail, you'll see that doji momentum hammer here. If we can take that out, and once again, be real easy if things traded in straight lines. They don't. They'll take them out. So you got this smaller triangular, lower low, higher high, and they go up in here after testing all these guys. If you go to the weekly, you'll see it like this. Here, outside week, took it to the downside, now coming back in, so we want to see if we can take that outside week. We need some additional actionable signals to do it. If we go to CNI, that similar potential momentum hammer. Here, if we can take that out. If we go to FedEx trying to get out of that finally on that earnings, and just gaps up and trying to gap up and walk up. You just want to be careful up in there. So if you look at the weekly, see this old triangle here gets above it, so that will be support. However, if things start to go awry, you do have that weekly shooter back down. But if you got UPS, remember that was an inside month. Now that's inside week, potential rev strat month. Inside month took it to the downside, comes back and hammers within it to try and get out of this and take a shot at the highs. So certainly going to be keeping an eye on UPS. If we go to the Utes potential momentum shooter to the downside here on the monthly, so I want to be aware of that to see if they jump ship on yield, and that came after an outside weak fractal triangle. So I want to see if we can get how we get outside of that, and so you can see you can get killed in some of this stuff. In Southern, you'll see how this Southern does stay inside month here, inside month shooter to see how that goes after going to the higher high. And you'll see stuff like AEP here, still momentum shooter, and you can see on these dailies A lot of this tight triangle stuff just really chopping them up and spitting them out here. So if you've been getting chopped up, you draw lines like this, you're going to see those lower low. Higher high. Oh, now they're going to kill him. Oh, no, now they're going to run him. Oh, now they're going to kill him. And so these kind of patterns will get bigger. And that's when we get our real move, when we can have everything line up. Right now, they keep rotating into something one day, the next day. Albeit we've had a bias strong in the tech. And then last week was a perfect example. We started off weak in financials, then they came back, looked like they're going to hit the oils, then they reversed, and all that kind of stuff. And that's because you're seeing this type of action. If we go to Dominion, letter D, you're going to see the same thing. Bam, bam, bam. But as the time runs out, you do have potential shooter to the downside. If you go to ETR, you see this on the daily. Bam, 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 bam. Really confusing them here. And that's why if you're in something that's really too tight, I like the tight stops. I'm like, I get it. But you're going to get those bigger moves once the range expands. Once the range expands. So a little rough there. If we go to REITs, VNQ, and VNQ, the monthly went up, hit the highs, and then just slowly drop it in. So whenever we see this on the weekly, that slight higher high, we're going to be aware of these tighter triangles. And so if you look at the VNQ, it won't be as clear. You're going to see this higher high, lower low, higher high, outside bar goes up and then retakes that outside bar and falls apart. But some of those other REITs, you're going to see a lot of these tighter triangles again. You see this AIV. You see this, bam, bam, bam. Now, is this a range extension? Is this real? Or are they going to come and bring it all the way back down to here? Because you look at stuff like a triple N, bam, 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 bam. Letter O, get your O face on, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Does it come ripping back down there? So a lot of those triangles to keep an eye on over there. If we go to XME, XME starting off as an inside day similar, bam, 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 but couldn't take that out just yet. However, if we go to the monthly, can remember we started off the month, the year as a hammer, and that went. Then we went inside month, then up, then inside month and down. So this is a potential rev strat month. They want to get back into the commands. Inside bar countered with hammer, which is consistent with this trend so far. We'll see if that can kick in with gold. Now the question is, what is this gold? Has it been putting in these lower highs? Is it going to come down and take this out? Gold starts off here. GLD is an inside week. So the question is, what is this consolidation here? Is this back and fill and then off to the races again, or really going to drop back in? We got an inside week to start off. You got silver here, not an inside week in the SLV, but once again, shop in here. How do we get out of that, and how do we get out of that? If we go to the GDX on the week, here goes to the tick inside week. So we want to see how the Nuggie and all these guys play out. Right now it looks like this. You can see the slight higher high. You can see this lower low. So the question was this, the real low, and now this is a consolidation to take that back up, or we're going to take all this stuff out. Starting off as an inside week, and that's going to give you a whole bunch. ABX goes inside week. You got AEM goes inside week. GG, Newmont, FNV. Does not, but on the monthly does this. There's that inside month shooter if they want to bring these things in. GOLD here, staying as inside month. Look at that tight inside week, RGLD, you get the idea. If we go to Alcoa, our earnings leader, it starts off, you do have the Rev Strat month. 2-bar pattern in there, inside month countered with hammer. See how that goes. You're also going to have that in ATI. If we go to letter X, you can see it's very similar there too. However, starting off the weekly, to see if it goes counter back down, stop out and go shooter back down. You got Nucor. Monthly hammer, not a rev strat, but took all these guys out and comes hammering back up. So what is this large pattern? We'll see if there's any follow through. It's also starting off as an inside day. FCX on the monthly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months completely within this bar's range. So somehow you got to get out there. You are in the bottom end of that range. So we'll have to see how the XME and all the metals act off of that. If we go to the financials, FAS still hasn't put in this high off of this. Been walking up this, and then last week though, thwarted the inside week and down, and goes 2-bar pattern, potential rev strat upside, and you go KRE. Same deal. XLF here to see if they can take that out because of all the shenanigans. We did have somewhat of a mixed bag. You got Bank of America going weekly hammer inside month. And so when we talk about watching those triangles grow, if you go to the 30-minute Bank of America, you see this higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. And then we came out yesterday when they had when Deutsche Bank, and everybody's like, oh, let's get short this thing. There's a momentum hammer that took it right all the way through this stuff. Triangle becomes support. But now as we close out, it's an inside month. So we had that inside month and up. Now what is this? Inside month momentum hammer to try and take a shot up into there? Or do we stay inside month? We're just starting off as an inside month. We had that Deutsche Bank, God help us, outside month. All right, fractal triangle in there. All right. So then big comeback in the week. So you're just looking at something like this. Tick tock ticky right there. Where's she going? Right there. Draw it like this. Obviously a lot of trouble and no new actionable signal, but one of the things you can look for when somebody says something's a distressed asset and you crush this thing, when it gaps up in the face like it did here, kicking pattern variation, and right back up, and we saw that in the Brexit in the Daily Spy. Here, I'll show you that. Whenever they blow them out on high volume into the lows, like they did here on the Brexit, if everybody's out of the pool except the shorts, they gap them right back in their face. So we'll see how that goes. If we go to Citicorp, Citicorp doing this once again. Hard to see. Biotech goes inside month. Yeah. With your banky. So how are we going to do here? Try and hammer them out of here and try and come up through that inside month. We'll see. If we go to JP Morgan, stuck on this on the daily here. Goes inside day. And once again, how are you going to get out of this stuff? But you got an inside day, so if we're lucky, we get simultaneous breaks. It does come back up for Doji Hammer Week, but we'll have to see in a lot of that stuff, obviously. You got Wells Fargo to pick on, though. Wells Fargo to kick around, and Wells Fargo was very nice. Certainly cooperated with what we were looking at. That couldn't make the higher high, then inside week, countering this up, down, inside week, peak, momentum shooter to the downside. And so you're just going into lower lows is all, but you do have another momentum shooter daily to start off the month if they want to hit this thing again. If we go to BBT, like I said, a lot of these things are going to look similar. BBT, inside day, tight triangle stuff. Potential rev strat weak when it counters the inside bar by taking the outside bar out with the hammer. STI here comes up with this hammer here. And what's interesting here is on the monthly, it's trying to get this momentum hammer to take all these guys out. So they go up and just take all that stuff out, but don't get it going. So the question is she backing up to get ahead of steam? We'll find out. Once again, you got to be real careful day in and day out when you see these patterns this tight. These outside bars, take them up, take them out, and come back in the middle. You want to be real careful when you start taking that range out. You keep going. All right, if we go to PNC Bank. PNC, once again, trying to get out of this, but it takes these guys out and retraces and reclaims that. That's a good thing. That's also sets up for Momentum Hammer Monthly to try and get through all this business. So we'll see how that goes. All right, if we go to insurers, Aon Momentum Hammer on the highs and potential inside week here up to do it. So we'll see if they can take all that stuff out. You've got HIG last month, remember, as it goes inside week, and HIG does take out the inside month to the upside, but 2-bar pattern. So still got to get outside of that thing, but starting off as an inside week, inside day is HIG. LNC, also an inside month, trying to recapture all this business in here. And once again, on that weekly, a lot of that stuff, they tried to take out these ranges and then come right back up into it. Still, this is the lower series here that they want to roll them back down, though, so let's not start whatever we do. All right, so we got Visor. Visor still just on the weekly, walking up this stuff, but you can see it chop, 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 and that daily going to be another tight ranger in here. So it's still putting in the higher lows here. If it wants to take another shot towards the highs, we could use some more actionable signals. MA here doing about the same, but does start off as an inside day towards the highs. If we go to Capital One, once again, these daily ranges can be murder, and your hopes is something like this: a rev strat week, inside week, countered with hammer, stopping them out of the outside bar, comes back up and can start taking them, because we do have these monthly hammers and a lot of things if we want to start moving higher. But we'll see. If we go to DFS, DFS on the monthly goes out, or takes out the highs but comes back in, doesn't totally fall apart, does do this inside day. So the question was take all this out and go inside day and just keep rolling lower, or try and take out the week here with the hammer counters the inside week. Rev strategy. If we go to Goldman Sachs came in pretty good off of this. Remember, we saw this higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. So the question is this going to stay higher than that, or is it going to go challenge back more into the middle of the range? Starting off as an inside day, and Morgan Stanley acting a lot better, albeit this range real tight here too, and you want to get through that stuff, but just a slight dippy do, and then right back into here, which does set up the monthly like this for the momentum hammer to try to keep taking all this stuff, but we'll see. Okay, if we go to crude oil, USO crude oil goes inside month. Interesting. So that could tell a few tales. I've been waiting on these earls, and they look like death before, but I'll get and show you what happened last. What had happened was last week. XLE. Trying to get out of this range and made some slight higher highs from them, just sluggishly trying to get out of here with the XOP. And you remember OIH was underperforming, but now it takes out a little bit. This stuff comes back, but still got to get out of this range somehow. And if we go back to the XOP and the XLE stuff, one of the things we saw last week, one of the ways we got that reversal here was being aware of these triangles and the potential rev strats, which the subscribers with me, the overnight video, had 20 oil stocks ready to go because an inside bar countered with a hammer, no matter how far it is still a rev strat. And that took a triangle and but good. Take them all out, stop them out. If this news turns any better, boom, they come up in here. So the question is, all this stuff, lower low, higher high, lower low, now they're going to be strong enough to take that out. What that triggers is called a one-bar reversal strat, and that's when the inside bar gets taken out and then the other side in the same bar, which you saw here. So what that gives you is something like the triangle to keep an eye on like this. And so in those instances, what we're looking for is not necessarily to go after the XOP, but some of those daily rev strats that we did have, as well as how can we identify some of the stocks that are stronger than the ETF. And that we do look like this, Carrizo. You look for the things that are inside week that were too strong to take that week out. So when those things start to turn around, no reason to believe that was going down, nor the Chevron. So Chevron goes down here, takes these guys out. You'll see this here, the lower lows, then comes ripping back, inside day back up. So we still got to get out of here. And you can see when I talk about things getting too tight, you're going to get killed. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Okay, now she's grown. And even here, got the slight higher high, kept them honest, but didn't make the lower low, and then straight back up. But we got no new actionable signal there. It's the Problemo and Exxon. We were looking at that triangle and what that gives you here on the monthly. Here is you got that outside month, and now we've retaken that. That's good, but this is another outside month we need to get outside of. And so what I mean by outside is it takes out both the highs and the lows of the previous bar, so we need to get outside of that. Keep an eye on any continuation that might get it towards back up into this stuff here. If we go to Devon Energy, you see this bam, 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 and it comes back up in here, but in general, was doing nothing. It's an inside month, but it's a momentum hammer inside month. And when you look at the weekly, slight higher highs, comes back down, and now the outside bar, higher and lower than these three right there. See that? Outside bar of that stuff. But an inside month in Devon, we want to look on the either side of the Devon and for reconfirmation. Apache, just starting off as an inside day, and we knew that was a lot stronger to begin with too, because when all that stuff was happening on the monthly stuff, it was already bright green and moving higher. And so that's what I talked about earlier, about looking for that kind of stuff. Just starting off as an inside day. If we go to like Carrizo, I want to show you that again. You can see that because that sets up monthly hammer to try and get through all this stuff. If we can do it, and that Carrizo, once again, also, when that occurred, that was higher than those other lows that the other ones hit, but there's a rev strat right here. The inside day countered with hammer and kaboom to the upside. But now monthly. So if we go to FANG, we know that that's had a career of hanging around. That was also another one that went inside week directly up instead of having to rev strat, and now setting up the potential for the monthly momentum hammer into the highs if you can get up in there. If we go to GPOR, underperforming, and you can see these 2 monthly dojis basically doing nothing. But we'll just pay attention to this weekly here. When you got this weekly hammer at a higher low than that, we'll see how it goes. But right now, tight triangle business daily. You want to be careful of this. When you see this here, that slight lower low, and a slight higher high. Need to get out of that, but will be a weekly hammer if we can get through it. If we go to hammer out of Hess, came out of the basement too, and that looked like death, but question here was that they take care of business, get rid of them, get rid of them, get rid of them. Was this the final dumping before moving higher? And because as it rallies back, now it forms a monthly hammer that would not take it into new highs. So it should still have some room to go test some certain levels. But whenever you look at any chart, you want to look at the shorter term to see what did it do to set it up. So right out the chute, this thing came gunning just to set that up. And so you just want to be cautious because obviously what it's done to set that up. But you've got all month, once it's above that, to look for reconfirmation or negation. So if you go to Noble NBL, you can see this thing doing all sorts of nothing in here. How do we get out of this? This was an outside bar month, and it reclaimed it in here. And you can see even in here, you killed in here. This higher high, lower low, higher high, you get killed. And now right back into the middle of that stuff. I'm just keeping an eye on some of this to see how it goes should everything start to kick in. But nothing there. You can see how chopped up they're getting in here. But if everything starts going, we're going to start looking for go through it all. If we go to NFX sets up the Rev Strat week. Inside bar countered with hammer after taking care of business in here. The problemo here would be that just sets up a monthly doji in the middle of nowhere. Tried to go up, tried to go down, tried to go up, tried to go down. So definitely some caution there, but we'll respect that Rev Strat if the oil start picking up. If you go to Oxy, oh, she got him good, she did. Oxy in the monthly. Remember this stuff, the inside, outside, and now takes it to the downside. The question is this stopping enough of these guys out to not take that out? Because the weekly triangle, now trying to get back up into here. And another problem you're going to have on the monthly is we're nowhere near taking out either side. And so that is always a big problem for that. And that's when you can expect stuff like this. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, bam, right? So caution in the Oxy here right out the chute because it's starting right in the middle of all that stuff. If we go to QEP, starting off here, you can see this monthly range in here, but now tested, now hammer to see if we can, what is this consolidation here? So we'll respect that hammer to the upside. If you go to RICE, R-I-C-E, doji shooter after taking all this stuff out, so as she had enough of this and then start dropping back in, well, this daily triangle is getting boom, 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 boom. How do you get out of this stuff first? If you go to SM Energy, SM starting off as an inside day, you can see that took out the highs, took out the lows, and that's going to give you an outside week. Here, how do we get outside of that? And if you get to the upside, you can go momentum hammer and see if it can stay above that. If you go to SU just you'd see this range 1, 2, 3, 4 months completely within that bar's range. So that needs to change to get out of there. If we go to WLL, once again, you're going to see this daily stuff that really needs to grow. You got the bang, bam. Got the boom, 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 bam, 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 bam. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. But starting off as an inside day, we'll see if we can get out of that or if it drops back in. If you go to XEC, which is one of those outperformers, you can see this. When you can identify these triangles that are going to rip, like we did with all those rev strats, you can see exactly how powerful that can be. And generally, this is still a tight range, but look at that. I think it goes 122, 135er. We'll take that, and what that does set up is the momentum hammer again to try and get out of this, because it was at risk by taking these highs out and not taking the all-time highs out. But you can see that inside month calls the lows, inside month calls the continuation. Now, does the momentum hammer continue to go higher? But once again, a lot of these things had a big move just to set that stuff up. If we go to Slobby, and we know the OIH was underperforming, the good part for Slob, and you see this how tight this one was. Bam, 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 hammer, right back up, which finishes off the month forming this hammer versus the shooter. So this in itself is a triangle right here, and we want to see if we can get back above that hammer and stay. Fractal triangle on the when you see that daily I just showed you, most likely it's an outside bar on the weekly, which it is. Halliburton. Once again, you can see this weekly business here. Got them good, took them all out, and then reverse here, outside bar back up into here. And so if we take a look at this out further, where some people think they see cup and handles, what they're really seeing is this. They almost got it. What it is a broadening formation and then a smaller one here. And so we don't care because if it works or not, whatever people like that think. But that's what it is. And so we'll see if we can get through that, because otherwise it doesn't matter, because if it fails, then it drops back in, and then you got the bigger triangle. Right now on the monthly, it does this. Takes them all out here and comes back into the range after an outside month, and that's that triangle you're seeing. So I want to see, what is this consolidation here? If they had enough here, start to work their way up, I'm going to find out. But once again, on all these things, it might take a while to play out a little bit after moves like that to set it up. If we go to Baker Hughes going inside day and staying inside month. Now we're talking. How do we get out of this inside month? So only a couple there with keep on inside months, but certainly those going to matter. If we go to ESV, little guy. ESV is another one of those when you look at the big term and be like, oh, it's such a huge move. I don't know if I get it. It's already up in here, inside day. And I'm like, well, here's your outside bar. So your outside bar here. You took that. Bam, 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 bam. But when you have those monthlies, if oil certainly is not going to zero and can take this month up, we can look at a lot of these little cheapies, because if they ain't going to zero, oftentimes you can get these thunderous rallies out of stuff that also you can look for going to zero if oil goes back in the 20s. But certainly stuff to keep an eye on when you're seeing that stuff. Kind of like a diamond offshore pig. Goes down and hammers, and remember we saw this weekly triangle here. Ouch. But didn't go into the lower lows. Since that's up the monthly hammer, it's a little sketch, but or a lot sketch. And here's this lower level triangle starting off as an inside day. If we go to the refiners, all I got is HFC here, which has been the underperformer, but doesn't go to new lows and just sets up the potential rev strat week. Here, inside week countered with hammer if they took them all out. Once again, an outside bar, inside bar, rev strat to see if we can take it back up towards that stuff. If we go to SUN, Sunoco, we do have inside month here too. Here to keep an eye on, and then the CWEI. This thing's still an animal. You can see it's showing a little bit good in there. And we were looking at it last week to see if it would go shooting star and back in. Did not confirm that. And right now, trying to stay off to the races. She's a bit of a hot potato and a little thin, but not for everybody, but for some. There's some juicy moves in there. If we go to XRT retail, it's certainly been underperforming here. And XRT retail weekly, you can see dropping back into the middle of this range stuff. On the monthly, what is this? How do we get out of here? So starting off in the middle of that range, and it's been a mixed bag there. So you got Costco, which is getting crushed, finally coming back a little bit off the earnings, and so. Remember, Costco couldn't make that higher high, drops back in. That blood-curdling sell-off here. And so now you got an outside week. What is this? It's going to be a fractal triangle that is continuation of this and takes it all the way back down into there, or try to reverse it back higher. So on a daily basis, when I say fractal triangle, you see the higher high, the lower low, the higher high, the lower low, and back into here and back into this range. So you got to get out of this thing. You're nowhere near doing it. If we go to the Walmart, once again, daily kicking pattern on Friday. Oh, it's the end of the world. Gap up in they face. All right. But what that sets up potentially is the Rev Strat week here to try and get out of this range. Been in here for a while on that monthly. So again, you had that outside month and took it to the downside. We're going to be looking for more continuation patterns. We'll see if that Rev Strat can kick in, and that daily looking like this. Here's this triangle, but good in here. The question is, have they done what they're going to do to them down here and start taking a shot at all this stuff off the Rev Strat week? We shall see. Target. Tight daily triangle business in here sets up the weekly hammer, and the problem with Target has been for a while that 1, 2, 3, 4 months completely within this bars range. So that's a bit of a problem. We'll see how that hammer starts off, though. If we go to Macy's, Macy's goes inside month, and you'll remember in the monthly video, in the weekly video last month, I said you're gonna have a real tough time taking this baby out, and you did. But now you've got your inside month to see how it plays on either side of that. If we go to Under Armour, another inside month there. Still needs to get out of that, like daily. I'm going to give you this tight range and stuff, but you got an inside month to look for breaks at either side of that, and then reconfirmation. KSS. Inside month, still trying to fight back for life. This is the range in here. Triangle needed to grow. See this? You'll see them whenever you look back and see these big ranges. Got out of it, came back, couldn't get out. Let's go test the bottom, and there it is. But now an inside month in KSS. Urban Outfitters. Also an inside month. You're just in the middle of all this business. So the other problem that caused it here was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks within this bar's range, and albeit that was a gap here, but that's what it is. But you got that inside month to keep an eye on. If we go to Nordstrom inside month still fighting back after getting clobbered. Recall, here's this weekly triangle down in here. You got that tighter one down in here. Hammer off the lows. Keep them honest. Momentum hammer, bam. And so how do we get out of this? Is this going to be a continuation pattern and try and take all the way back up in here after getting clobbered on that monthly? We'll see if we can take these guys out. But now you got an inside month to keep an eye on. Ross Stores, inside month near the highs. No stopping this baby so far. And you'll see this tight business in here. Stop them out, come back up. So you got to get out of this range. That would break your inside month. You're also inside weekly momentum hammer. And if you go back, so you tested this old triangle like this here, comes back in, goes inside week, goes back up, comes back, tests the old line here for momentum hammer, weekly, daily, or monthly inside month. So Ross Stores still leading the charge. Foot Locker, also an inside month after getting clobbered. Remember that was in the video down here. You get that hammer off the loose, and now inside to see if you can take all this business out. RL, inside month, and we've been watching this one for a long time because this big triangle is like, is this the bottom of the triangle and comes back up? No. Oh, it's falling apart. Want to bet? Stop them all out. Then puke again. Outside bar. And so all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months completely within this bar. We want to get out of there. Did test that bottom part, but need to get out of that. But we'll see how the inside month plays out first. Brinker EAT, inside month there. And they had an outside week here. So that's fractal triangle, and that's when you're getting chewed up because you're going to see guys getting chopped up like so. Wee. If you go to Burlington Coat Factory, one of the crushers, Burlington, the question is, she run out of steam. Remember this one, real ripper, and then all this stuff to just break their hearts, and then back off to the races with the momentum hammer. And now the question is, she run her course? We got a shooting star back in. We shall see. If we go to DDS, dealer's department, sir, you can see what a fall from grace that was. Sucked them in here, sucked them in here. Now, is there any hope in here? And there's no new actionable signal. I'm just watching this lower daily triangle to see if it can retake this because it's pretty sizable. Wham, 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 wham. Now we'll take them out. Now you can have enough cranking in to get you up in here. We'll look for additional actionable signals as times goes by. If we go to Starbucks just starting off as inside week hammer after slightly taking that business out. We'll see how that goes. And Tiffany's going side-by-side weekly hammers to try and complete this triangle, and you got an inside month to do it if the Tiffer wants to come back. All right, if we go to the IBB doing this. So once again on that monthly, gets clobbered, goes up, falls apart again. So the question is, what is this? We're going to be able to strong enough to take this, waka, waka, waka. And on the weekly, remember this: higher high, the lower low, higher high. Now, what is this business in here, and how do we get out of it? And once again, people will be like, it's cup and handle, whatever. It's inverted head and shoulders, unless it drops back in here. What that is a tighter broadening formation by making lower low, higher high, and back in the middle of it. So out of the bigger one. And what we've been seeing is really it's been case by case basis. Obviously, when you're in this business, drugs don't work, you fall apart. If they do, you go up. So if we go to GILD. GILD had that 2 week inside pattern, then popped up, and then just dropped back in. So for the month, tough time getting out of here. This doji month right in here. The question is going to try to accelerate to the downside or try and use these slight lower lows to pull herself back up. Still stuck in this in the daily. You can kill it in here. Bam, 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 bam. And right back in there. So we got nothing there as of right now. You go to Celgene. Starting off as the inside day. And so the question is, what is this? Lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. Can we go inside day and start taking a run up at that? Or, once again, that weekly, that shooting star out of this range, outside bar, reclaimed it on a shooter and took it all the way down. What is this here? Is this a continuation pattern to go re-puke down in here? Or is this a pullback from there and trying to reclaim up? We got an inside day to start off. Just got to be careful. It's going to be a tough time not being in inside week, even if it starts moving up. If we go to BIIB, BIIB goes inside weak, and remember this big bar here, and we took that to the downside. We've been watching this tighter pattern here on the daily to see if this can be a continuation pattern to get through there and just try and back up into there. So what you do have on the monthly, if we start moving higher, that was a potential rev strat. Inside month, shooter came down, didn't do it. Hammer counters that. That's potentially good because if we can get that inside week to the upside, you could take out the monthly hammer to try and take a shot at that upper part of that triangle. If we go to Amgen, looking like this on the daily. Here. Gets right up into there and bam, 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 and now the slight lower low. And so how do we get out of that? Don't know. You can see it on the weekly. Whenever you see that slight higher high here and it couldn't get through there and just slightly takes these guys out. Nothing really new there. So if we go to Regeneron outside week, and so what that gave you here is an even tighter business here. Bam, 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 bam. Then last week, here's that outside day, and then takes it to the upside, takes it to the downside. Now right back smack dab in the middle. Monthly, how do we get out of here? We're nowhere near that. Almost doji on the month, so day by day, case by case basis on a lot of this stuff. If we go to old buddy VRX, Puker. VRX goes inside month, and still having its problems and still having its issues as it goes inside day, measured move down, sideways down into here, and starting off as an inside month near the lows of the month. If we go to BMRN starts off as inside month here. Now the question is, all this stuff is just the slight higher high and just drop back into there. On the daily, you just have this hammer that takes out this stuff, so potentially back up into the range. And like a lot of things too in the monthly, you do have that inside month shooter if it wants to drop back in. If we go to ILMN, not by much, but inside month, and almost took it out. If you look at the weekly, you'll see this. Big outside bar, takes it all to the downside and works its magic all the way up to the upside, takes it out, retraces higher than that. This is still an outside bar. So all this stuff is outside, and then this stuff is inside. So we're going to try and get out of that. But if you do, you are inside month equilibrium to the upside. If we go to MNK also an inside month. And remember all this stuff. So the question is this: the higher high in the inside month drops back into this range to try and take all this stuff back out, or is this the true breakout of here and can try and hold? At this point, you're going to start off as an inside day, potentially triangling back up or measured move expansion. If we go to ACAD, CAD. Once again, you see these triangles just killing them. Bam, 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 bam. Right back in no man's land. So we're just keeping an eye on the monthly shooter here to see if this is corrective action since then, and then take them back down. If we go to ALNY, side-by-side monthly shooters, and so that means they took a shot at the upside through this stuff. And potentially could delayed rev strat. This was inside month here to try and take that stuff out. Good thing is you've come down and take out these lows to do it. So right now you're looking at something like this on the daily, but we'll respect that stuff if it starts to break. Oops. There you go. Alan Wise, Clovis. So Clovis here starts off as an inside week. How do we get out of this? Bam, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high. Because you might recall the big one. The monthly, you got the inside month and up here after the RevStrat month puker, inside month down, right down, walks, goes inside month. Now you take these guys out. Give me a tall order taking this baby out without curing something. But you got an inside week to start off in Clovis if the comeback continues. ESPR. And if you look at this thing, inside week. So is it a comeback as well? And that monthly was quite the debacles. Is there any hope? Because if you look at that daily, did break out of this stuff pretty hard. Takes them down, takes them up, comes back inside day. So the question, how do we get out of there? We can keep an eye on that inside week if the comeback is indeed on. If we go to EW inside day, and a little bit of a different story here. This baby's still powering higher. Albeit going into higher highs, but as you can see, outside day, inside day, if it wants to keep going. If we go to Jazz Farm, and the Jazz Farm having all sorts of problems. They took these guys out and then inside week and then dropping back in. You can see the difference here on the monthly. Potential monthly shooter back into here. So she got up, lower low, higher high, lower low, higher high, and now back in here. So how do we get out of this stuff so far? Underperforming over there. If you go to Mylan, yoser. Mylan, weekly's got this. When it comes down and test that, they got him good up in here with the shooter, stop him out and back down. When that news on the EpiPen came out, couldn't have been worse for him. They're right an inside week coming off the top of the triangle. Now inside day, if there's any hope to try and recover here, if it wants to triangle back up off of that, or is it going to go down sideways, measured move? If we go to UTHR, this thing also is underperforming, but you can see on this daily here, you're going to see this business here, bam, they got them in here, and then was just strong enough to take that out and fall apart. Just a little good example of how you can get chewed up if you don't understand these things and pay attention. All right, if we go to Biotech, XLK hanging near the highs. It's out of my way. I'm tech right here. The question is, once again, like those cues, can we use this as the continuation, or is it going to drop back in? Because it's coming from a very strong trend. And stop them out, stop them out, stop them out. And now the question is, can go measured move and take that stuff up? If you go to semiconductors, SMH strong on the going out near the highs, setting up here, just going out toward the highs. We got that Qualcomm NXPI deal, certainly helping things going. But if we go back to old buddies, the Fanger, the Facebook, it's somewhat of a rev strat if it was a shooter, but you can see we just knew that was about where it stops off the inside month. Not the end of the world, but if you go to the weekly, you're just still doing the walk up until something like that changes. You can see the buying on the strength has been a little rough. And so right now, just tight range trying to walk up like that. If we go to Amazon, just take it over. Amazon just going out on the highs. I mean, what more can you say? It's on the highs. And that's it. No new actual signal. If you go to Netflix, Netflix does this on the month. Went inside month and up slightly, but 2-bar pattern. So it's still in play to try and get out of this stuff. Because if you go to the weekly, it tried to expand by going outside week, goes outside week, inside week. So kind of key here to see how this inside week can take out the outside week in the 2-bar month pattern. If we go to Google going inside week off the all-time highs here. So the question is, what is this business up in here? Does it triangle back down, take these guys out, or does it just go up and try and take it out to start off the month? But inside week for Google. If we go to semis, LRCX, inside month Momo Hammer near the highs. If you go to KLAC, still been underperforming, but you do have that inside month now. If you go to Texan, potential RevStrat 2-bar month pattern to the upside. Analog Devices the same. If you go to AMBA, Momentum monthly hammer. If you go to Corvo, RevStrat month trying to go back up. If you go to CAVM, monthly Momo hammer trying to get back up out of that stuff. We go to Microchip, MCHP, potential momentum hammer on the highs. Maxim, Rev Strat month or 2-bar pattern. So we got a lot of this stuff in the semi still to watch. Agilent, letter A, momentum hammer. SWKS, momentum hammer. If we go to CY, little guy, CY tried to take that momentum hammer, but you can see this triangle here that's still trying to get out of this monthly. So still doing just the slight waka, 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 and you've got the outside weak fractal triangle to try and stay out of if you can get there. VMW does this. Ridiculously tight inside weak gives you the inside month. So it's going to continue to take this baby up here. Now you got your two-month rest and an inside month to see if we can go measured move and take this outside bar back up. If we go to CTXS, CTXS would be Rev Strat month to the upside to try and take a shot back towards the highs. Here, got them down in here, triangled them out. Now we'll see how that goes. If we go to NTGER, just runaway train and an inside weak near the highs, you can see what this thing's been doing. Much like our old buddy NVIDIA, just tearing them up and chewing them up and spitting them out. But you do have the inside weak for NTGR. Red Hat goes inside weak here, RHT. And that holds the gap to do that. Gaps up, holds. Now back in the middle of this range would be the problem, but it is inside weak. If we go to Vishay, another momentum hammer, VSH. If you take a look at Hack, Hack been moving up, and look at this. And you might be surprised when you look at stuff like FEYE, PEG, all right, and you got Cyber inside weak here, not doing much, and you got FTNT here inside weak and trying to move up. But when you look at it, the components of Hack, Symantec, number one in there, SYMC, and that one we've known, inside day, and you'll recall the old Rev Stratter month, the inside month and up, and still going. So just starting off here, an inside week to see if it can continue to lead the charge. Just a few more. We got HLF going inside week and the inside month. Ashland ASH tries to go Rev Strat month to the downside. Yeah, not quite an inside day, but Rev Strat month to the downside would be Ashland ASH if they want to bring that in. If you go to BDX, potential side-by-side Momo hammers, inside week. Emerson Electric, give me some yield. Don't call it a comeback, totally is, as you get potentially the Rev Strat month up to see what is this business. They take care of business here. Stop a few guys out here and try and start moving back higher. If we go to EWZ, let's see, inside week here, and like I said, if you go back to some of these, you can see this daily anyway. How do we get out of this? Your inside day there. Just going back like a lot of these things, if Brazil's not going out of business, we can take a look at this, what she used to be. So trying to come back up out of that stuff. FSLR, speaking of used to be somebody. And FSLR, just we know this triangle we've been watching all week, and we got that. We got the inside day. We got the measured move off that inside day. Now inside day to see if that can expand that triangle. They're going to take a shot at all this stuff. If she for real is just going to drop back in off that inside day. If you go to HOG, Harley goes inside weak here, and potentially if it can get them rumors going or real things going, 2-bar pattern Rev Strat month to see if that can get it going again. IDXX Crusher still on the highs, and that would be momentum hammer monthly, inside week and up if it can continue. And the gamers, the LVS goes inside week, and still trying to get out of this slight higher high, this 2-bar pattern here to try and get out of there, because Win drops back in, and Win still putting up higher series off of this stuff, but dropping back in. And so if it starts taking that triangle back to the downside, you got the Rev Strat month there, because it tried to take this inside month and comes back in. Does start off as daily hammer though. Let's not wham just yet. If you go to Snap on SNA, I'm sorry, I wanted SWK. There we go. SWK inside day, and once again, just kind of keeping an eye on this stuff, this monthly Momo Hammer stuff, and XPO, which is related to trannies, inside month momentum hammer. Keep an eye on that. And last but not least, Tesla. And Tesla's 3-month inside pattern is completely within this range. So not uncommon to reverse when you do that. Now you got yourself a monthly hammer to work on after an outside week, which means fractal triangle. And if you look at the daily, it'll show up like this. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low. How do we get out of this? Does it drop back into complete this? Or is this the real move? Stop them out and then try and move higher. So obviously nothing has triggered yet. So we've got a lot coming up here. You got earnings season coming up. You got a Jewish holiday on Monday. You've got jobless claims. You've got electing presidents and all that kind of stuff coming up. So this is a good blueprint to start you off to start the quarter. All right. Hope everybody has a good day. I'm Rob Smithy in the Black Quant Edge VTF here, T3 Live with this weekend's market breakdown.